Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and this is not an installment of last week Lolita news, but this is the only intro I know how to do. Those of you expecting anything of actual quality should prepare to be miserably disappointed. People who attended Delta HCon may have recognized that first line, and while we're on the subject, what the duck am I even talking about? Those of you not based in the Lone Star State should know that Delta HCon is a Houston, Texas-based anime convention scheduled for September 20th through 22nd, 2019. I just got back from being a guest for their 2018 edition a few weeks back, and throughout the weekend I learned a few key things. First, volunteers work their asses off to make conventions fun and/or function. Fashion shows result in cortisol levels that will make your body vibrate at the speed of sound. And talking to the soulless eye of a camera is a lot different from staring down a room full of people who possess laser-like focus that will wipe your brain of anything you have prepared until your only claim to sanity is the rough outline you brought as an afterthought in your utter hubris of thinking that your brain would actually retain information under what feels like the stony-faced judgment of a tribunal bent on your utter destruction. Public speaking is the goddamn devil. Off the cuff is 50 times easier than trying to retain anything predetermined, and my suggestion to anyone hoping to host a panel is, first, don't. Second, scripts are for people who want to regret the very day they were born. In all seriousness, it was a lot of fun, but frack me, I'm never going in with anything I plan to say ever again. I'll leave the word making to whatever part of my brain isn't frozen in shock, and those who attend can say they saw it as a happening. Got off track, getting into the goddamn weeds, back to Delta HCon. Focus. So, I was a guest along with other J-Fashion associated entities like Lock Shop Wigs, Otaku, Butt Cape, and the Black Ribbon. I had a fantastic fracking time. And while we're on the subject of people who make things, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our Lord and Savior, bb&b. Mostly because I love everything they do. They aren't even paying me for this, they were just vending at Delta HCon, and frack me if this isn't everything I love about sweet jewelry in general. It reminds me of the glory days of 2010 Sweet. I'm going to collect everything they make. I may be late to this party, but you can pry my faux confections out of my cold, dead hands. You may now bask in its glory. Bask in it. Anyway, Delta HCon for me went like so. I didn't commit vehicular homicide on the way down to Houston, arrived Thursday evening after thinking about committing said homicide the entire way down, legit passed a giant pillar of fire that used to be a car as a welcome wagon on the way in, and managed to drag the entire contents of my car up to the hotel room after 3 trips because I am the type of person who packs like the Swiss Army knife of human beings, ixnay on the space efficiency. The con was hosted at the Marriott Westchase, and I have to say the room was really fracking nice, not that I'm biased, given that there was a space outside the vehicular prison that had me questioning my sanity on the way down. Whatever the case, I was out. I sat down and immediately got a message that fittings for the fashion show were a thing and my inexperienced ass should probably get itself up and down to the main room. Note that the message was beyond polite, the wording was my own, and I grabbed my bangs and hoop skirt, do the run through, get back, pass out, and am dead to the world until Friday, when it is game time. Opening ceremonies start at 12 p.m. I have never been to opening ceremonies at a convention ever, mostly because I don't go to conventions ever, and it is weird to be in a room with people who actually do things of merit, especially given that my primary drive is to verbally break things and cover the remains in salt. Guests stand up, people clap, I try to be one with my chair. Later on, the fashion show started around 6 p.m. and I modeled for Hanuli wearing the Empress while being deeply grateful that I was not the first in line. A feeling that was fleeting since I was moved to the front of the line right before the show started, and if I recall correctly, I do believe the giant blank space in my memory begins and ends in the same time span the fashion show took place. Sources say I didn't spit blood and suffer a coronary center stage, so I count the endeavor a success. In all seriousness, it was fun, but frack me if I don't know how models do it without having their fight versus flight response duke it out in front of several hundred people. Fast forward to Saturday morning, I hosted Lolita Fashion Boot Camp in the Rose Garden room, and after a volunteer saved my ass by not only finding me a projector but setting it up afterward like a real-life fracking superhero, the panel began with all the fanfare of the brutal realization that everything I'd memorized was made inaccessible because apparently whatever save file it was housed in becomes corrupted the moment more than one biped decides to deadpan stare in my direction. This instance just so happened to involve a whole room of said bipeds. Luckily, I made a video specifically for the event, and it was a welcome respite from having sentient beings stare holes into my soul. I vaguely remember laughter at multiple points throughout the ordeal. Thank God there were questions during the Q&A. Otherwise, we all would have just sat there contemplating the futility of existence. Seriously though, thank you to everyone who came to the panel. I hope you enjoyed watching me reconsider my entire reason for being. More running around the dealer's room ensued, met a frack ton of awesome people, and hunted down food in between. 10:30 came up, and it was time for the Lolita Horror Stories panel with Buttcape, Chocolate, a representative from Boycott AM, and myself. The room was fracking packed, and the stories people in the audience had to tell were varied as they were disturbing. By the time it's over, I have enough nightmare fodder to keep me busy for at least a month. Finally, on Sunday, with the tea party at 1:30 in the afternoon, I was hyped to see what the Houston Lolita community had to offer. The event was solidly sold out, and it was really cool to see another community outside of my own. The volunteers had obviously worked really hard on the decor, and the Texas-themed display was even complete with a tumbleweed decorated with red, white, and blue lights. Even the watermelon skewers were done in little cowboy hats. These people were one angry redneck away from a full-blown hootenanny. But in a good way. Everyone was really well dressed, and outside of a game of hacky-sack tic-tac-toe that no one but Buttcape seemed to be able to master without losing some measure of dignity, the event went off with all the pomp and circumstance expected of a gathering of oddly dressed people connected by the thin thread of liking frilly dresses. Or pants. Is that OG inclusive? Do OGs even watch this show? Dear God, I'm tired. The tea party wrapped up. Closing ceremonies required me to produce words I don't remember for a crowd of people, and one gap in my memory later, I hauled my ass into my car with enough Red Bull to induce cardiac arrest, hell-bent on getting back home in time to change into goth gear and dance until escorted off the premises by trained paramedics. No emergency services were summoned, and I made it home post-industrial clubbing just in time for caffeine to fail me and pass out in what I believe was the rough direction of my bed. I didn't get arrested, and consider my first experience as a con guest to be a success. So there you have it. Stick around for more sappy nonsense or get the frack out. Are you gone? Good. Some personal stuff. To everyone I met at Delta, to the staff and volunteers, guests and attendees, thank you all for making my first experience as a con guest so fracking awesome. Thank you to all the Houston crowd for welcoming me into your community. It was really cool to see what you all had to share. And while I'm being repetitive, it's so obvious that what you have here is something special. To Tom, Jessica, and other Tyler, the first of which I am planning revenge on, you guys made Delta memorable in a truly persistent way. Thank you for being a highlight of the event. Nina and Becky, you two were too much fun throughout. Thank you for continuing to surprise me the entire weekend, and I hope to see you both again in the future. Thank you to Oliver for fracking countless things, and Jared for saving my bacon with the prompter. And thank you to everyone behind the fashion show, tea party, and to Sarah, of course, for opening yet another space for the Lolita community at her convention. It was a fracking trip. I know I'm missing names here, but needless to say, if we spoke over the weekend, if you were even in the smallest bit related to the running or experience of this con, you have my gratitude. I had a ball, and thank you for having me out. This has been Tyler. You've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and before you wander off to wonder why you would invest so much of your time into watching some long-winded prat say words that ultimately lead to a double nothing burger with a side of why even try, you should know that this show is sponsored in part by Lolita Des, a secondhand Lolita and J-fashion shop based in Japan with excellent English-speaking staff and an official sponsor for last week Lolita news. Lolita Des, when you burn precious minutes of your life in utter disappointment, can't process the event like a functioning adult, and prefer to bury your feelings in niche Japanese fashions, they have brand. Link to their shop below, and to wrap this up with a big fracking bow, I'd like to thank my patrons for watching this most recent iteration of saying more words than is necessary. Thank you for looking the other way while I pretend this is anything other than a coping mechanism to cover for a complete lack of self-control. I appreciate the consideration while I make off with half the English language worth of superfluous verbiage. I am fully aware that I am a polysyllabic pain in the ass. Thank you for tolerating my existence, and should you like to be privy to things only trained psychologists should sort through, head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews for more of this ungodly nightmare of a show. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's majestic. I'm at a loss for words. That's how powerful this is. Look at it. It's wonderful. I have more. I have other ones. Ah! Look at this. It's in a bag. I'm going to take it out of the bag. I'm about to take this out of the bag just for you guys. That's how much I care about you. I'm going to open a small pouch. That's how much I care. I just realized there was a small angel on this. There's no crosses, so it's fine. I think it's a Cupid. Look at this. Look at this. Bask in its glory. Bask in it, goddammit. I just noticed that rhinestone. That's how much attention I pay to detail. Bask in it. It's beautiful. I'm going to put this down. You're going to see the other one now. I don't care if you don't want to. I'm going to open another pouch for you. That's how much I love you. Okay. Got it? This one's open, so I'm going to have to like hold it. Look at this. Look at this gorgeousness. Look at this. Oh my God, I almost dropped it. It's beautiful though. Look at it. Bask in its glory. Yes, this is perfection. Amazing. Look how pretty it is. I love this fracking thing. I have multiples of them. This one's pretty. I like it. There's more. They're in bags. It's pretty.